Hello and welcome to my latest video. This video sees me driving from the mountains just north of Madrid that are not the Sierra Nevada and crosses into Portugal. So it's basically a day of driving but across two countries. I hope you enjoy it. I spent a very quiet night here. The sunrise this morning looks spectacular. It is only 6 degrees though. It is very chilly. I can't see the sheep or goat that's making that noise, but yesterday I did see a couple of flocks of sheep with the shepherd following them. Oh no, it's a cow. Well, that was a very, very peaceful spot with a fantastic view and a wonderful sunset and sunrise. I had to walk part of the route before I drove down here because I wasn't entirely sure about it, but it's okay. The only difficult bit actually is the turn off the road because it's a very, very sharp corner from this direction. Do a sort of 3-point turn, and it looks like I'll have to do the same thing going out. Still, I'm near Poblado del Alcázar. Poblado del Alcázar, and it's only 7 degrees at the moment, but I am 990 metres up. It's going to be a nice warm day when I get further down. Now we'll see if I can get around this corner in one, or whether I'm going to have to. I don't think I can though. There's the cow that was making the noise, ambling on all by itself. I didn't really see any of this last night because I was too busy looking at the map trying to work out where to stop. And also I didn't realise I'd climbed quite so much. Back down again to whatever that area is. I think I didn't look at the map. I forgot last night, but I think this is the foothills of the Sierra Nevada, which has a very romantic name to my mind. Sounds very exotic. I'll check the map and then realise it's something completely different, but no matter. Anyway, yep, hardly a cloud in the sky. Hopefully it'll be a nice day. And here's the van, and here's where I'm going. Actually, I can see some skyscrapers right on the horizon. I wonder if that's Madrid. Observation of mine, there's a lot of castles around, but the castles are not chateaux, they are fortresses in Spain. I've not seen any sort of pleasure palaces, as it were. suburbs of Madrid. And it is actually quite heavily populated. See lots of cyclists, lots of people walking around. But yeah, and hopefully I'm going to get back in the countryside soon. Can't say I'm a fan of built-up areas. Maybe if I have to do this route again, I will go the other side of the Sierra Nevada and see what it's like there. I think all the population seems to be crammed in between Madrid and the Sierra Nevada. Maybe I'm leaving this town now. With any luck. Well, I got my wish. Out of the traffic, out of the built-up area, and suddenly climbing. I'm now up to 1,500 metres. So, you know, I'm the Alto del Leon. Oh, Castilla Leon and Segovia. So I'm, yeah, suddenly high up and in the countryside. It's all a complete magical mystery tour for me, this is, because I'm letting the sat-nav, by and large, letting the sat-nav take me the way it wanted. It wanted to go way north, presuming to miss all this out. So I said no, and plotted a sort of route, but I didn't look at it in a huge amount of detail. So this is all a bit of an, let's say, magical mystery tour. There's these posts either side of this road. There have been quite a few of them. I think this must be, well, it's the N6. I think it's the main road from Madrid to the coast, because there's a signs for El Coruna, which is 540 odd kilometres away, which is unusual to have something so far away with the distance counted down. So as I say, I assume this must have been a historic route from the capital city to a major port. There's another pair of those pillars either side of the road. Further back they were closer together, so they've obviously moved them when they make the road wider. Here are La Coruña, 542 kilometres. I have no idea how long I'm on this road for. I think here I'm going to, or maybe not. I thought I was leaving the main road, but maybe that's just a big junction now. It looks like I'm still on the N6. So I'm gradually dropping. Only at 1,000 metres now, 1,100 metres. It looks like I'm going to turn off in 20 kilometres. Where each town is, but Spain, I don't have that at all. I don't know what these provinces mean. On the left, in the distance, just behind those buildings, is my first spotting of a bull. Other than in France. I read somewhere, see the bull on the left, I think I read somewhere that they were a cigarette or a tobacco advert, and that when tobacco advertising was banned, they were going to take them down, but because they'd become a popular part of the scenery, they just removed the tobacco advertising bit and left them there. I suppose that's why they are near the main roads. I don't know why. Well, maybe of any hills ahead of me. Another province. As I say, I'm very confused about those. I must do some research. I'm still heading for another digital render, but I think it will eventually be turning off. I am turning off now, looking for Salamanca. Again, I've heard of it, but I would not be able to pinpoint it on a map. I'm turning off that big main road, and I don't know if this is as big. Hopefully not. Another lunch spot. I'm actually quite close to the road here. I wouldn't sleep here, I think, but for lunch it's fine. There's supposed to be a stream down there, but I don't know if it's dry. I'm going to have a look. It looks like sometimes this would be flooded. I think there is water there. Yeah. Not much water, but nevertheless there is some. Most of the trees around here have got this, collecting pine resin. You can see more over there. You can see these pine trees, some of them cut so that they leave their sap. It looks quite sore. They even look red, don't they, like human skin. I presume it doesn't kill them. Anyway, back on the road now. It's, according to the temperature, it's 25 degrees, but I think that's because the van was sitting in the sun. But it is very nice. It's 20 past 1. And I'll continue on my way. Well, that was that river, the Adaya. Have these weird roundabouts with a road straight through the middle. The main road goes straight through the middle, so if you're crossing on the back road, it can be quite confusing. That one wasn't. Right. Today I want to get past Salamanca, I think, and then it'd be lovely if I found somewhere nice fairly early on when it's still nice and warm. Now I'm driving, the temperature's dropped to 21. It's still lovely. From Salamanca. I think I end up going round a bypass. I'm toying with the idea of going on the motorway, but I don't know if it saves me anything. I might have a look. There does appear to be a bypass, but I don't really know how big Salamanca is either. 300 metres up. I think what throws me is it looks like the fens, and the fens are actually under sea level. So my sort of wired-in brain tells me this landscape is very low, right down at sea level. Instead, it's higher than the majority of England. So it's something to get used to. Also, I spoke to my sister and mentioned the Sierra Nevada. Turns out I'm completely wrong. I was in the natural park of the Sierra Norte de Guadalajara. Something like that, Guadalajara, yeah. So in the North Sierra of Guadalajara, so nowhere near the Sierra Nevada. That's much, much further south. I might be visiting there in a few weeks, but apologies for all you people who knew how wrong I was, and of course I kept repeating my mistake. So now I have to go back and put a little subtitle every time I erroneously mentioned the Sierra Nevada, so apologies for that. So given the scenery is fairly uniform here, and I'm only 30k from Salamanca, I decided just to go onto the Autovia, the motorway, just Autovia, just for the trip round Salamanca, and then get off it again as soon as I've gone through the city. See what difference it makes, if any. There's another bull on the left. I wonder how many there are. There will no doubt be a website that tells you how many there are and also where they are. Tend to track them all down. There is another one. I always think it's quite funny when you see a signpost to a country. So I'll turn off, signposted to Portugal. Which, as I say, always seems weird. Also, I see that on the signpost there is Cucaras. I haven't been there before on the way back from Portugal, fun enough. But I'm not going that way now, at least I assume I'm not. So I'm on this, which I think then takes me on to that other motorway around Valladolid. Trip on the motorway, just 30k, and then the motorway stopped anyway, and there didn't seem any point getting back on it to leave Salamanca, so I'm now on the ordinary N road again, heading towards there, Ciudad Rodrigo. not on the motorway when the motorway runs parallel. So for a lot of the time I'm not seeing anything different to what I would do on the motorway. I'm in a little bit like wandering. Whether it's worth just jumping on there, I don't know. The next place I've come into is a place called Sancti Spiritus, which just sounds like a Latin invocation, a religious, well, maybe it is a religious settlement. Anyway, Sancti Spiritus. You can almost hear someone singing that in Gregorian chant. Some sheep. I don't see many. There they are, that's the sign, Sancti Spiritus. I'm only an hour maybe from Portugal. I was looking at stopping at Ciudad Rodrigo. I think my memory tells me the Duke of Wellington had a fortress there against Napoleon, and I suppose as it is just in Spain, and at that time Napoleon had occupied Spain. I might be wrong. It's just somewhere lodged in the depths of my memory. Anyway, I was going to stop there on a campsite. There we are, Sancti Spiritus. But I've just read the reviews of the campsite, which, although they were good in the summer, someone stayed there by the look of it just yesterday and said it was tepid water in the showers, freezing cold, no heating on, and as it was cold at night, it was thoroughly unpleasant. So I think I might not stay there. The reviews in the summer are okay, but I do look at the reviews on Park for Night and contribute my own. Anyway, they weren't impressed, the people that stayed there last night. Portugal, 45 kilometres. Yeah, so not far at all. So this is Spiritus Sanctus. Can't say it looks overtly religious. Hostel, that's the Playa Mayor. And there is the discotheque, bar and restaurant on the left. Outskirts of Ciudad Rodrigo, which according to the sign is one of Spain's most beautiful villages and towns. I don't suppose my route is going to go through the old part. I imagine I'm going to go on an internal sort of ring road, so I probably won't see the pretty part. This certainly isn't the pretty. Oh, there's a church ahead. Because I was in England until... Unknown caller. No, don't want that. I was in England until about 10 days ago. Then I crossed to France and put the hour forward. And then a matter of about a week later, I put my clock back because it's autumn, and then when I cross into Portugal, the clock goes back again, and then obviously when I cross back into Spain, it will go forward again. So my body clock is being thoroughly confused by the human clock. I believe the old town is off to my left. And there's another church I can see. Oh no, there's a camper van there, just there. Just parking on a car park, isn't it? I don't. If I can avoid it, I will avoid those types of places, particularly ones where you have to pay. I wonder if that on the left, that mound with what could be a castle on the top. Oh, it says 1810, and there's a picture of, on the right there was a sort of silhouette of Duke of Wellington, or Sir Arthur Wellesley as he was at that time. So yeah, this must be where the Napoleonic army was kept at bay by the English. So Napoleon never managed to invade Portugal. By the looks of it, yes, there is a fortress to the left. So my memory was not wrong. We're now about to cross the river. I presume, therefore, that's where Wellington sort of drew the boundary, as it were. The other side of the river. There we go. There's a sign for a campsite here, but say the campsite had a really bad write-up from someone who stayed there yesterday. So I won't go that way. There's the river. Yep, plenty of water in it. Hardly flowing, but I'm going to carry on now towards Portugal, which I think is 30 kilometres away. Routes in Portugal, you have to have an electronic toll. I have no plans to use any motorways in Portugal. Probably just as well, as I haven't bought a toll card, permit, call it, sticker. So anyway, I think, is that Portugal up ahead? Looks like the place, a frontier place, doesn't it? Portugal this way. Yep, there's the Portuguese signs. So, you must have known I'm coming. Got the British flag up. And the French. And the Portuguese. Wonder why. That combination. There's the sign saying I'm now in Portugal. It's a bit weird because it said the sat-nav said it would take me 2 hours to arrive, but the time that it said I'd arrive was only an hour after the time that it was when I read that. But that makes sense, of course, because the clock's just gone back an hour. So in a minute I'll get the big bit from my phone. Sometimes you cross a border and nothing looks any different. This does. looks very green for a start. There's also a castle on the right, or ruins of one. But yeah, everything looks suddenly very, very different. This is my first Portuguese village. Castelo Bom. Does that mean day castle? Well, no, good castle. Castle good. Everything looks much greener. The roads are wet. The temperature's fallen, and the height has fallen as well. I'm now under 700 metres, and I think the temperature's probably dropped because of the rain that's fallen here. As you can see, very wooded. Not straight anymore. This road looks very different to Spanish roads. See the motorway off to the left, I think we're going under actually. Yeah, the terrain is utterly different to what I've been driving through the last couple of days really. And this is the old main road, which quite clearly would not cope with the modern levels of traffic. It's that big motorway up there. Big rocks, none quite like that one on the left. I thought it was a house, but no, it's just a couple of really big rocks into which a house has been, beside which a house has been attached. It's very wet here. It's not raining, it's not been raining while I've been here, but quite clearly it has before. And all the gardens are very lush, the trees are very lush. Contrast for the last couple of days. I remembered the Portuguese roads as being bad, and this is an example. Although this is because it's cobbled and not maintained. This is Guarda, where I'm planning to stop tonight. I thought about stopping 2 nights, but I don't really know. It doesn't look a very pretty place. On the other hand, 2 nights on a nice campsite just means I can recover a bit after the big trip up driving. I've driven about 1,000 kilometres, I should think, maybe more by the time I get here. It's not actually that much. It was 1,200 in total, so maybe a little more. Anyway, this is Guarda. Well, my plan to drop to a lower altitude where it'd be a bit warmer hasn't quite worked. I'm on a campsite. I'm on a campsite at a place called Guarda in Portugal. It was only €11 a night with the hookup, but Guarda prides itself on being the highest city in Portugal, so I'm still 1,000 metres up. It's not raining, but the trees are dripping, and in the background you might be able to see there's a public park with a fountain in it. Anyway, I'm here for 1 night, maybe 2 nights.